Guys, we'll be starting in 2 minutes. We are just waiting for some other person to join, and yeah, we'll be starting soon. Karthik, can you like switch to next slide?
Yeah, sure.
Guys, I think like some of you are not able to join this meeting due to number of people have exceeded the limit. So if any one of your friend is not able to join this meeting, you can uh, give him our live stream link. We'll also be taking questions from a live stream, and yeah, we'll be discussing them in this meeting. So let's just start. Let's just start with the webinar. Uh, Good evening to everyone. Welcome to MDG's webinar on roadmap to GSoC and Outreachy. Here we have the panelist. I am Ayush. I am the final year student at IIT Roorkee. I have done my GSoC in 2019 under Checker Framework organization. Other panelists, we have Karthik Iyer. He is also a final year student at IIT Roorkee. He has done his GSoC in 2019 and 2020 under TensorFlow and ASWF respectively. Another one, we have Amish. Amish, can you turn on your video?
My video is on.
But we can't see. Yeah, now I can see your video.
Now?
Not now, but no worries. So Amish has done his GSoC under TensorFlow this year. Then we have Hemil. Hemil is also third year IIT Roorkee student. He has done his GSoC this year under NRNB. Then we have Pratik. He is also a third year student at IIT Roorkee. He has done his GSoC under SEF organization. Then we have Kaira Gupta. She's a third year undergrad student at IIT Roorkee. She has done her outreachy under Linux kernel organization. So here are our panelists. Maybe you panelists can all say hi to our guys. Then we can start with the webinar and the question that we have. Kyra, we can't see your video, and maybe you guys can turn on your mic.
I have turned on my video.
Okay.
Can you see it now?
Try switching it.
I can see you, Kyra.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can also see her.
There might be problem at my end. So,
Yeah, there is some latency issue, I guess.
yeah. So yeah, let's start on like so we want to make this webinar as like as responsive as possible. So I hope that you all guys understand Hindi, because we might switch to Hindi in between just for our comfortness, and like just to give your more comfortness, like we'll be discussing answers within ourselves too. So we'll be making it as casual as possible for your comfortness. Yeah. So let's go get on with the first question that we all have in our mind, like what is GSoC and what is Outreachy, and why should we like prepare for it, and like what exactly we get from it. So we can start with Karthik.
Yeah. So, hey guys, let's talk a little bit about what exactly GSoC is. First of all, for those of you who kind of have a vague idea like what GSoC is, but not a complete idea, पहले clear कर देता हूँ. It is not an internship, and you should consider it to be more of an open source program where you just get involved with the open source community and you do some work. But because you're going to be spending so much time working on some kind of project, they are going to compensate you monetarily. So it's basically just what I've said. It is an open source program for which you get paid. And your, what do you say, motivation for getting into GSoC should not be that monetary compensation that you get. It should be primarily the pure fun of contributing to open source and working on a project with so many different people from all around the world, and many of the people working in these organizations, those who are going to mentor you, and the project maintainers, they are world-class engineers working at many times in very big good firms, and they have a lot of experience and exposure that these guys are willing to share with you. So that is what basically GSoC is. And if you have not understood exactly how this thing goes and how it works, you'll come to know as we progress through this talk. So that's all.
Kyra, can you speak more about like Outreachy?
Yes, sure. So unlike GSoC, Outreachy manifests itself as an internship, and it opens twice a year in winters as well as in summers. For the students in Northern Hemisphere, only the summer round is open. While if you are not a student, you are a working professional or out of job or trying to switch your careers or anything, if you are not a student, you can sit in the winters round as well. So Outreachy is open not just to the students, but to everyone. There is a common misconception that Outreachy is open only to the women candidates. That's not true. It's open to everyone who has faced any kind of discrimination or who is underrepresented in tech field. Maybe maybe you are not financially that good, or maybe you haven't done your schooling from a good school, or you say that your college does not provide you enough opportunities. So all these can be considered as disadvantages for you. So if there is this thing called initial application in Outreachy. So Outreachy's projects are not visible to everyone. They are visible to only those who clear the initial application. So the initial application, you have to answer some certain questions. One of which is why do you think that you are discriminated against? So why do you feel that you are at a disadvantage? So if you are at any disadvantage, you have to elaborate in that initial application. You have to let the organizers know that uh, you are not represented well in the tech field. So then you can participate in outreach. That's it.
Amish, can you also elaborate on this?
Yeah, I mean, like GSoC is a great opportunity to learn everything related to open source. And biggest advantage I personally felt regarding GSoC was that I was able to create something that is currently being used by a lot of people in the community. So that provides a lot of satisfaction to me, and that should be your primary objective when you are trying to get selected in GSoC.
Uh, Thank you. Any one of you have any other points to add on this? Sure. So let's switch on to another question. Uh, so just to just to give you guys an enough motivation, like why to prepare for GSoC and Outreachy, we should know about like what perks they offer and why people are so excited to get selected for GSoC and Outreachy. Like what opportunities do they offer and what opportunities do they bring to us while we are selected for GSoC or Outreachy. So on this we can start with Heyman.
Yeah, so in starting with the perks of the GSOC, I think the best perk which we can get is learning the new stuff. Means GSOC is a very good program to interact with the community, and get the good contacts with the mentors who are means expert in their fields. We get an opportunity to connect to them, and also we can get recommendations and referrals, means which can help to build your career. Means like in my case, I also received the LORs from my mentors, which was quite good for me. Also, other than this, you can learn about the freshest technologies, means in the large code base. Like the one of the motivation of GSoC is like your PR getting merged into a very big code base, which would be used by thousands of other developers, which is very good thing. Other than this, then GSoC also helps in building your resume. Means when you write GSoC, then it means it helps us to get a good internships and jobs in the resumes. And other than this, means about the stipends, I think Pratik will say about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, besides all those perks that Hemel mentioned, apart from these, the monetary benefit is also could be also a huge factor in your interest towards GSoC. GSoC provides a quite sufficient stipend. It varies from region to region. I think for India it is currently $3,000, which is quite a lot. And also, students participating in GSoC get Google referrals by GSoC. So, if you want to apply, if you want to or application to the Google panel. So, uh, the Google uh, the Google um, referral helps us to get the job easily. So that's one more thing, and I think that covered.
Yeah, thanks, Pratik. Kyra, can you continue?
Yes.
Yeah.
So apart from the usual perks that GSoC gives, Outreachy, for one, its stipend is a bit more. It's $5,500 instead of $3,000. And it also gives support of $500 for you to attend any conference. Any conference that is recommended by your mentor, you can attend it within a $500 fund. Since our travel, there is restriction on travel these days. If you apply to the winter round, which is going right now, or maybe in the next summer round as well, you will get those $500 as cash as well instead of them being reimbursed to you for your conferences.
Thanks, Kyra. Another point that I want to like highlight on this, the the most important perk that uh, I think GSOC provide us is the value of connections. Like one of my friend have done GSOC in his first year, and he has like his mentors were from the one of the most prestigious universities in US, and he got a chance to do an summer intern while he was in second year uh, under that professor at United States. So after that, like he has done so, like he has visited US 2 or 3 times, and he's been doing such amazing work after that, like in the field of parallel computing, that one might can inspire. So all this has started from GSOC, and like GSOC can really shape your path towards the future. So it can give you a field which you might be interested in future, you might be doing further studies, and yeah, that's all I think GSOC can provide you all. So uh,
Ayush, if I can kind of add on to what
yeah,
all you've said,
sure.
uh, just as Amish told before, that the happiness that you get when you create something new, and then you actually realize that hundreds or maybe thousands of people are going to use that product. Maybe if you have not yet contributed to open source, you don't know that feeling. But
Yeah.
when you get your first PR, merged into that huge code base, that it is undescribable. It's exhilarating,
Yeah.
literally. And uh, let me tell you briefly about when I worked on a project in GSoC in 2019. I worked with people at TensorFlow. So the most exciting thing about the 2019 GSoC for me, काम वाम छोड़ो, पैसे मिल रहे हैं वो सब ठीक है. You are going to earn even when you get a job and everything. But the main charm came from working with engineers at Google, and literally they are one of the best engineers in the world. And when you get mentored by them, you really understand the value of that mentorship, because you get stuck at some point, maybe उसी जगह पे अटके हुए हो 2 दिन, ये बग हो नहीं रहा है, काम नहीं चल रहा तुम्हारा. You ask them and they'll give you such nifty solutions, and you'll realize, अरे यार ये चीज क्यों नहीं समझी मुझे. This is like such a great solution for that. So working with such high profile people, uh, that is really exciting. And even this time when I did GSoC in 2020, I worked with engineers at Pixar and Netflix, Pixar Animation Studios and Netflix. People from Netflix were brought over specially to mentor me for this project. So, I don't know if I should be saying this, but you kind of feel very important at that point. So I think that is something that you should get excited about.
Yeah, and for the example, like one of our alumni, Samagr, uh, his mentor was the head of AI at Google, so Peter Norvig, if you have heard about it. So, like, this is really a very proud moment when you have such a great mentors and you got referral for them while you were working in GSoC. So, yeah, it
And this year, even one of the guys whom I interacted with during GSoC was an Oscar winner.
uh,
There are Oscars not only for people acting in movies, but even those who make technical achievements and technical contribution to the film industry. there's an engineering and technical Oscar for them. So one of those guys was an Oscar winner. So
Great.
that
Thank,
was fun.
thanks, Karthik, for sharing the experience. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, we can. Like, one of the question that was there in the chat, it says that like how many times we can apply for GSoC, when we can apply for GSoC. Just to answer this question, you can apply as many times in the GSoC, but you should be a student studying in a university, and yeah, you should be a student while applying for it. So let's just switch to another question. Uh,
Yeah, and
yeah,
just a second. A student means any kind of student,
yeah,
masters, bachelor's, PhD, anything. Doesn't matter what branch, what thing you're studying. Just a student at a university. That's
yeah. So another question that we have is like how can you start into open source and why it is essential for GSoC and Outreachy. So on this we can start with Karthik.
okay. For those of you who are completely oblivious to the term open source, uh, in simple words, it is just some code of some kind of software, and the code is available publicly. And if you want, you can copy that code, make your own changes to it, and depending on the people who maintain that project, you might be able to merge your contributions into their code base. So that is what open source is. And about how you can get started, first learn some kind of a programming language. That is, you can say, the bare minimum requirement of getting involved in open source. Whatever language you like, Python, C++, Java, R, Ruby, whatever you want, Swift, or if you are an iOS or Apple developer. So after you learn the programming language, you need to find an open source organization that does some kind of pivots to mentor people. So the best way to find organization, irrespective of if you want to get into GSoC or Outreachy, is to go through the past year's organization list. They are available on the GSoC website. So just go there, look through the organizations, and if you do not have that technical expertise to know if you can do something or not, there is only one way to move forward. Think about what excites you and what you find as shiny and attractive, that some kind of maybe technology like deep learning or machine learning, or maybe AR, VR, some kind of game. If you are into gaming, if you're a gamer, maybe you'd want to create your own games. So there are open source organizations doing that also. If you want like use mobile apps and you want to explore यार ये कैसे चलता है, so there are a lot of organizations working on mobile technology development also. So there is a plethora of organizations available. Go through that list and select what you want. And usually on the GSoC organization page, you'll be able to find links like email links or Slack or IRC or whatever kind of communication platform that organization uses, Discord or something. Get in touch with them. And generally, open source organizations run on the community. Matlab, there are a few core members of the team, but a lot of contribution comes from outside, and they are there. They are working there because they want the community to get involved. So don't hesitate to get in touch with them. Don't be shy. They are there to help you out. So get in touch with them and maybe try to find out uh, how you can start contributing to these organizations. Then generally their websites have a dedicated page where they have instructions for newcomers. कि कैसे तुम्हें start करना है, कि first copy the code and try to compile it, and instructions, so on and so forth. So that is how you can start with open source. And why is it essential for GSoC and Outreachy? Because GSoC and Outreachy both are open source programs. Naam mein hi open source hai. So not literally in the name, in the definition you can. So getting started with open source is essential for getting into GSoC and Outreachy. But if you do not have prior experience with open source, do not think that हमारा हो नहीं सकता GSoC Outreachy में. There are a lot of people who do not have a lot of experience with open source, and these programs are their first time. So that is all, I suppose, on how to get started. If anybody else would like to jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Karthik has like covered almost everything, but I would like to add that like open source is the most effective way to learn coding, because you will get your code reviewed by others in the community, and that will provide you a huge scope for learning to do things in a better way. And apart from that, I would like to say only one thing, that do not try to limit yourself only to those tools and frameworks that you already know, and you can always try to explore new things. And whenever you try to explore a new thing, anything will look intimidating at the first sight. But as soon as you keep on reading the tutorials, the documentation, and possibly the code base, then you will soon get a hang of it, and things will start to make much more sense to you. So that's like a very good way to get started in open source.
Another
Talking
thing,
about
yeah.
feeling intimidated about when you get started, uh, one point that one of my seniors told me when I started for GSoC was, when you get into the code base, do not try to understand everything. कभी तुम कॉलेज में भी कोई सब्जेक्ट पढ़ते हो तो you learn at your level, you learn only a subset of everything, सीधे PhD नहीं करते हैं. So that is the approach you are supposed to follow here also. Try to find out some kind of छोटा सा bug or feature that you want to implement, and only try to understand that code. And let me tell you, even the core contributors and maintainers of these projects, they also will probably not have the idea of the whole code base. That is the only thing that you need to understand, and वो जो intimidation वाली feeling है वो चली जाएगी. I can see one question in the chat that someone is not able to decide which community to choose. So, as I had said before, try to find something that is attractive to you, whatever be the technology. That is my approach. And for example, this time around when I did GSoC, let me tell you about my area of interest, that is getting into film technology, movies and VFX, all that stuff. So I found ASWS that works in that field, and then and there decide कर लिया यही करना है. And others here also have worked in a variety of fields. So if someone can answer that question, maybe Kyra.
Yes. Organizations कैसे choose करते हैं? So this was my first attempt at open source. मतलब कुछ भी contribute नहीं किया था पहले कभी, और when I started contributing, तो I realized कि मुझे कुछ आता भी नहीं है. मतलब बहुत सारे technologies listed होते हैं और आधा कुछ था नहीं. So I filtered out the organizations on the basis of my interest, one. Second, on the basis of my skill set, जो already था. Third, on the basis of the technologies I want to learn, या फिर जिसमें मैं टाइम देने के लिए रेडी हूँ, या जिसमें मुझे इंटरेस्ट आता है, जिसके बारे में सुना हुआ है और मुझे लगता है कि इसमें मजा आएगा. So that is how I decided my organization.
Okay, guys, we'll be covering this question in detail later on. But for now, I just want to add, like, in order to get started with open source, you don't have to like visit any GSoC organization, or like just keeping in mind of GSoC, like you have to start with open source. You can try to make your own project and like make it public on GitHub. Try to find some new collaborators, even try to start working with your friends on that project. using Git, GitHub, and like you'll find all this collaborative platform, all this version control system. It will sort of enhance your developing skills as well as increase your collaborating skills as well. So, like in my case, my first open source project was not a GSoC organization or not a like big project. It was a simple Android application that I made for one of our college, what we can say, competition. Then I just made it public on GitHub. So someone liked that application and like contributed in it, and I also helped developing it. And this is all about open source. Like we all have the community, it just keeps on supporting, keeps on growing every day by day. So you just have to explore that. And right now Hacktoberfest is going on, so this is the best time you can start learning about Git, GitHub and open source, how this thing works. You just have to submit 4 pull requests to any of the repository that is taking part in Hacktoberfest, and you will get some idea about like how open source and Git and GitHub works. So this can be a kickstart for your open source development. Yeah, let's just switch to another question, Karthik. Yeah, so many of you still asking and have doubt in their mind, like what sort of skill set or prerequisite required for GSoC and Outreach. So we'll be discussing about it. We can start with uh, maybe Heyman.
Yeah, so for the prerequisite, I think means for GSoC, you should know any one of the computer language in which you are proficient, like means you can understand the code and the things. Other than this, other than this, I think that you should have good communication skills, which can help a lot. Means talking with mentors, which becomes a quite important point at the time of building the proposals and at the initial stage. And other than this, means these two are the most important points which I think should be required for means GSoC.
Yeah. Karthik, Kaira, any one of you can continue.
I would like to add to it.
Yeah.
You should also know, I mean, at least a version control system, the most popular way of which is Git. So you need to know at least the basics of Git before getting into open source, because uh, all the open source organization they use Git and GitHub as a platform in which the repositories are hosted. So you need to understand the proper workflow which these organizations follow in order to get your contribution. Like uh, you cannot directly create a commit into the master branch. There is a proper uh, flow that needs to be followed. Like you fork the repository and you clone it, then you push to your upstream and then create a pull request, and then there are certain tests that need to be passed. Only after that the pull request could be merged. So you need to understand those development flows very well in order to uh, participate in open source development or any of these programs. Uh, the You could learn more about this in the contribution.md file that almost every GitHub repository has. Like they have the contribution guidelines which you need to follow. So you need to read about this as well. So I think that's I wanted to add. Anybody else would like to add something to it?
Guys, if you can
There was
tell
a question
some.
that someone asked,
Yeah.
if someone can answer, is CP, competitive programming, required for GSoC?
Yeah, so like there might be a few organizations that do require data structure and algorithm kind of knowledge. So you can try if you can find something of your interest at that stage. Like for most of the projects, it's developmental based, and you don't need competitive programming knowledge for that.
I guess, guys, if you can tell organization specific things also in this question, then it would be great. So, in my case, when I was contributing in checker framework. So only requirement that they have, like I should be able to know about Java, and I should have some idea about Git and GitHub, how things work. So they clearly have a how to starter guide. So I just go through it, and they have certain requirements which I have to fulfill while writing my proposal or while contributing in the organization. So each and everything is documented. You just have the guts or the passion to go through all of them, just read on them, understand them. It might take a few days to just to get some gist about how things actually work. So uh, in fact, like setuping the huge database, my huge code base might also take some days or but you just have to maintain your patience and uh, go through all the things that are provided in the starter guide and like start contributing in it. So frankly speaking, you just need to have some basic knowledge about programming and uh, version control system, which is Git and GitHub, and some knowledge about open source. And you can uh, learn with the flow, basically. So while you were contributing in the organization, you can learn with it as well. So as Kyra can also elaborate on this,
Yes. So as Pratik mentioned, and Ayush too mentioned about the importance of version control, specifically Git. So most of the organizations have their code base on GitHub or someplace, some other server. But in case of a few organizations like Git and Linux, they don't have PRs, they have patches, and they discuss the patches on mailing list.
yeah.
So that might seem a bit intimidating, actually a lot intimidating. And so for that, you don't need just basic knowledge of Git. That requires you to have at least intermediate level of knowledge of version control. Because I mean, the most important thing I learned through my internship was I have mastered version control, I can say. So that is very important. And other organization specific things would be you have to build kernels in Linux kernel. If you make some changes, you have to compile it again and again. So your system requirements. Some people use VirtualBox. Some people use their native machine. Some people build several kernels on their native machines. But that is not always feasible. As in my case, by the end of my by the end of my internship, I had about 800-ish kernels. So that is not possible if you build every time you build on your native machine. So there are other options for that, obviously, but they do require you to have a proper system, a proper laptop with some. I mean, the cheapest version won't work, I would say. That's it.
Thanks for the clarification. Anyone wants to add something?
Yeah, I think I can talk a little about my organization and how you're supposed to get started. I'll share something with all of you guys. So, can you guys see this application instruction for students?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so this was the instructions page for ASWF or Academy Software Foundation, and they have written all the steps, perfect instructions on what these guys expect from you when you have to get started. And for some organizations such as this, you are supposed to contribute prior to submitting a proposal. So that is a strict requirement for some organizations like this. And for others, like last time when I worked with TensorFlow, they did not have very strict requirements as such because that was their first time. They basically selected candidates based on how interested they are or how well formed their proposal was. We'll come to that later on how to build a proposal and all that stuff. But they kind of looked into those factors more. And considering open source in general, you can find contribution guidelines uh, in the readme of this project, like this was the project I built during my time with TensorFlow. And in general, in many projects, you'll have a guidelines for contributors section, and then when you open the page, you'll have specific instructions like how you're supposed to report bugs, or maybe if you have any coding guidelines that you're supposed to follow, how you're supposed to open pull requests, and if you're how where you're supposed to discuss it with the team first or not, and stuff like that. So you will basically be able to find all kinds of instructions on the page. And I think someone else can go right now.
Yeah, like
One
for yeah, continue, Vaida.
one thing that I don't think we should answer in the chat because this is streaming on YouTube as well, and we should answer the questions, you know, not in the chat. Rather, we should discuss the questions there.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So for TensorFlow, I wanted to discuss one thing. Like most of the people think that if you are doing a project with TensorFlow, then you need to have a solid knowledge of ML and stuff. But generally, that's not the case. The whole TensorFlow ecosystem consists of many other great tools like TF Lite for TensorFlow, MLIR, to name a few. And then you can try to browse the repositories and docs of these projects, and you will find out that they do not require any kind of ML knowledge. So this is something that a lot of people don't know, and I just wanted to clarify that.
I can second that opinion. I do not know anything about machine learning or deep learning, but still I did my GSoC with TensorFlow. I worked on data visualization, but we'll talk about the details later.
Yeah. Uh,
Yes, similarly, I did not know anything about OS uh, before working with Linux kernel. I studied a few concepts, a few basic concepts before applying, but other than that, I did not know anything. Just memory management and some other basic concepts are required. You don't need to be master of OS.
I think Hemil in the organization you work,
Yeah.
they work with some bio stuff, biology, but
Yeah,
we
means
still
in
got it.
my organization, it is related to biology, but I don't think means at any point I needed any biology knowledge. Only means the variables and things were of the biology names, but they were not much necessary. Other than that means it was completely Java based. My project was, so Java knowledge was enough. Other than that means I want to add that in my project I needed some coding also, means like data structure was needed, because in biology they work with networks and also they need graph, the knowledge of graph and other stuffs. So that is an advantage means in the biology orgs of having the knowledge of graphs and other things.
Okay. What about you, Pratik?
So yeah, the organization name could be deceptive. Yeah, like there's an organization called Fedora, and by the name you would expect that you would do some work on the operating system. But Fedora also has an ecosystem of different system softwares. So they also have projects on those things. So you should not decide on the basis of the organization name that okay, I'm going to work on this. I'm not good in this, so I'm not going into this org. You should specifically go to each and every project and then make a decision on that you have to go for it or not.
yeah. Thank you, everyone. Let's just switch to another question. Karthik? In between, Kyra, you have a question in the chat. If you can answer that. Firstly, read it, then answer it.
Okay. So first, it was not GSoC, it was Outreachy. Second, before applying, I had knowledge of C and C++ because both were required for my project. I worked both on the kernel side as well as on an API. Other than that, I had very basic knowledge of OS. I'm not from C. I am not majoring in computer science. I did not have operating systems as my course. I read it all by myself. So I just did a basic Udacity course. And other than that, there were some resources shared by the ACM chapter of our college. So I just read those. Uh, so I would say no, operating systems knowledge isn't required. You just have to know basic programming knowledge. That's it.
Yeah. Karthik, are you there? I guess he's just
We
connected.
can
Yeah,
we
let's.
can take other questions in the chat box.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so there is a question that can one apply to multiple GSoC organizations in the same year? Think means we can submit at max 3 proposals at a time for GSoC.
Yeah, but I would only suggest you to apply to multiple orgs only if you have um, worked sufficiently hard in one org and you have the chances, sufficient chances of getting selected in that org, and you have a certain period left, and you just want to make sure that if something happens in one org, then you have another org as backup. I would not suggest you to simultaneously work on two different projects of different orgs because doing multiple things won't be really good enough. Uh, People really don't get enough time after just one project, so doing multiple projects simultaneously would take a lot, and also your it's better to focus more on one organization and one project rather than into that would make because that would make your chances more uh, so that's it.
Okay, so there is one question from Shreya that if one learns all the skill of a full stack developer and do some local projects, then how should he or she look for an organization to contribute? So I suppose that if you say full stack developer, then you must have learned like back-end technology or a front-end technology, and you will find plenty of projects in GSoC archives that are already using that technology. Apart from that, as we already told, try not to limit yourself to the things that you already know, and you can look for new technologies as well. You just need to get started by reading their docs, and then you will soon find yourself understanding everything.
There is one question: is it wise to do GSOC alongside internship? Can both be managed simultaneously? Um, I think. Okay, Karthik, are you there? No.
Yeah, sorry, I just lost my connection. Yeah.
Okay. So for this question, I
Can
think
you guys hear me?
Karthik.
Yes, Karthik, we can
Yes.
hear you.
Karthik, there is one question that I think you would be the perfect one to answer. The question is that uh, is it wise to do GSOC if you have an internship as well? Would it be manageable to do both of these things?
Yeah, definitely. It is completely possible to do an internship along with GSoC, but it depends on two factors. Uh, First being how hectic will your internship be. Some internships might require you to devote more time, so it might be very taxing. And the second thing is how long or how much time are you willing to devote to work? Like if you uh, want to, you know, इधर उधर घूमने जाना है and you want to have some fun, like people who have their internships in Bangalore or Pune, there are many alluring things to do there. Like in Pune, you want to go here and there, hill stations and stuff, and if you want to do that kind of stuff, you might not get as much time. So it depends on how much time you're willing to devote. So it's completely possible. I did an internship at JP Morgan and I did my GCOC also this time. So the timelines kind of overlapped a little bit, but I found out ways to manage that. So I think if I can do that, and there are many people who have done this before also, everybody can do that. It won't be as hard.
Yeah.
But there are some internships like people over at Adobe, they have a lot of work to do. So I think Ayush, you can testify to that being a little taxing.
Yeah, so in my case, like I have a research intern at Adobe, and the workload was very huge. In fact, I don't have a GSoC. Like I haven't participated as a GSoC student, but I was a mentor over over there. Like I was a GSoC mentor in the Jenkins organization. So the work was so much that, in fact, I have to leave as a mentor in between. So you can determine that, like it's totally dependent upon your potential, how much work you can handle and how much pressure you can bear. So yeah, I guess guys, like we should move on. Karthik.
Yeah, of course.
So like most of the questions that we have currently now mostly revolves around this question: how can we get into GSoC or outreachy? So we'll be like breaking this question into few parts, in which like the first part that we'll discuss is how to find the right project, like how to find the right organization that you want to do your GSoC or you want to contribute in. So let's start with Pratik on this one.
Uh, yeah, the criteria for selection of your project should be a mixture of the competition that you have in that project and your skill set and your interest. So, uh, like if you are interested in a particular technology and you have chosen a project and there are too much of people in that project, let's say around 7 or 8, then I would suggest you to also look for another project which aligns with your interests. Like because there are so many orgs and there are so many projects, it is very sure that you could find multiple projects that align to your interests. So uh, instead of just just uh, focusing on one project in which you have a lot of competition, it would be better to search for another project that aligns with your interest but has relatively lower competition. So you should balance these things wisely. Like there are some projects which have very low competition, but you are not excited enough to work on that. So uh, you should consider that as well. So I think that's what I wanted to say. Emil, would you like to add something?
Yeah. So as Pratik mentioned, I also want to emphasize that the most important thing is you have to find the project of your interest, because you have to work on that project for 3 to 4 months. So means if you lose an interest in between, then means it's not good. Means you will not like to work more and your motivation will be low. So choosing the right project which will keep your motivation about 3 to 4 months should be means you should choose that type of project. That's it.
Yeah, and I want to add on this one. Like while choosing your project, you can, like the best way is to search for previous organization lists that have participated in GSoC or Outreachy. They'll be most likely be coming next year or so. So you'll have some idea about that, like what kind of projects or what domain they are working in and what projects that they have uh, in last year or so. So you can go through all of them. You can like do some sort of 2 3 filtering steps, and after that, like you can come up with let's say 2 or 3 organizations. Then you can go through their documentation, contributing guidelines, and yeah, then you can find the right project that you are interested in. So in this
Yeah,
way,
in order to,
yeah.
I wanted to add that in order to filter the projects of your skill group, you could use the search feature in the SOC organization page. For example, you want to get all the projects that require Python. So there you could search for Python and all those projects that require Python as skill. would come up, and you could select one or out of them.
Yeah.
I would like to add something. Unlike GSoC, Outreachy does not have much variety in terms of projects because it takes only 50 to 55 students in each cohort. So there are very less projects. There are around 60 projects each year. So if you are applying to Outreachy, I would suggest you to apply to GSoC alongside. One, because maybe you won't get the project of your interest over there. Two, because since there are very less number of projects, it might be that, and the number of participants is in comparison to the number of projects, the number of participants is much more. So it's better to apply to GSoC on the side.
Uh, Also, I would like to add, like, there are many organizations that take part in Outreachy as well as in GSoC. So contributing like in those organizations uh, might make up your work for both Outreachy and GSoC. So yeah, if you can do that as well. So another part of this question is how to contact your mentors. Uh, your mentors could be
I
the,
would like to add
yeah,
something.
sure, Amish.
So my case of finding and settling for an idea was a bit different. In my case, I was building a Flutter application that connects to a TensorFlow model, and soon after a while, I was very devastated to discover that there was no tooling available to integrate my model with the app. So I knew that I have to write the whole integration code by myself, and that will be a very time-consuming process. But few days later, I had this idea that I can possibly convert this whole thing into a potential GSoC project with TensorFlow. So I also shared this idea with Karthik, who has already done GSoC with TensorFlow in 2019, and he also seemed to like the idea. And we decided to forward this idea to TensorFlow engineers, and then the thing just started. So if you want to follow a path like this, then you can possibly try to add some feature to any technology that you are using, or you may try to solve an existing problem. But one thing that you should always keep in mind is to always decide the feasibility and utility of your project and get some initial feedback from your friends and seniors. That will help you get some insights and get you started along with the right path.
Yeah, thank you, Amish. Next one we have like how to contact your mentors. Your mentors can be your organization admins or maintainers. So Karthik can speak about it.
Yeah, so one thing that you need to remember while contacting the mentors is that before you even think about contacting them, get familiar, a little bit familiar with the project. Do not just blindly ask people how to get started. That does not, make a good impression. I have seen people uh, that blindly they just on their chat platform like Discord or Slack they message like, hey, I'm interested in your project, please can you tell me how to get started. Whereas on their website they have very clear instructions on how to get started. Even they have dedicated pages for GSoC students where they have the first step like use Git, how to use Git, how to clone the project, how to build the project, and how you can make your first pull request. They have all these instructions, and if they have these instructions and you still go there asking how to get started, they might outright reject you. And in this organization that I've seen, the mentor said he sent the link. See, this is the link. यहाँ पे सारा सब कुछ दिया हुआ है, and clearly you have not put in any effort, so therefore you are not suitable for our org. Please try with some off, or and best of luck for your future. So this is literally what happened.
Karthik,
So
just want to add this was my organization, so
I know
Yeah.
you shared this with all of us.
yeah, I shared with all of you. uh, yeah, Amish, can you continue on this?
Yeah, so like in my case, I picked up an engineer's email from TensorFlow Google Group and mailed him explaining the idea briefly and its utility. And I asked him that if this idea is suitable to be a potential GSoC project. So that's one thing that you should do while approaching with your own ideas. Make it clear that you are doing it from GSoC perspective and not general open source contributions. So, like the catch is here, you will find yourself following up to those guys very frequently as they are busy as well. And have patience, have hope, keep following up politely, and soon you will receive responses from them, and then everything will go smoothly.
Uh, I'll share a little bit about my experience with TensorFlow and the main factor that got me the GSoC in 2019. Uh, Let me tell you how I started. As I told you before, I worked on a data visualization project. So, to put things into perspective, my work was to build a data visualization, or in simple terms, graph plotting library for Swift. Because in the machine learning and deep learning world, data visualization like helps you a lot. And as Google was building this new project called Swift for TensorFlow, there was no data visualization library like Matplotlib or something. So they wanted to fill that gap and bridge it. So that was my project. I had already worked on a similar project on Android before. What I did was I messaged the product manager of TensorFlow and I told her, Paige Bailey, her name was, if any one of you
Yeah.
knows who that is, TensorFlow mom, she calls herself. Yeah, so I messaged her saying that, look, I have some experience in this field. I've worked on a similar project, and I think I'd be the right fit. And so she forwarded my contact to TensorFlow, mentioning that, look, this guy, he has some experience with so and so stuff. He knows a little bit about graph plotting libraries and graphics and all that stuff. He seems to be the right fit. And after that, what I did was I built a prototype. I did not know Swift before, getting into this project. I had no idea. So I learned Swift and I built a small prototype. And as I was building this prototype, I was in continuous touch with the community on their Google group. I kept posting updates as and when I added features and stuff. I took their inputs on my work. I made changes, reverted back, and after I got selected, my mentor, uh, he specifically told me that you being in touch with us and giving us updates, and properly utilizing that preparation time before the application period, that was what differentiated me from other people. And he said that in the future, when students come to TensorFlow, this is what we expect. And I think Amish also did the same. He was in touch and he completed almost one third of his project,
Yeah.
or let's say a small part of it before GSoC coding period.
Yeah, actually, we launched a plugin before the application period. So we had already launched a project before GSoC period started.
So that was what.
And
Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead, go ahead.
so like that was a very good thing for me. That was a very big green signal. And like apart from that, what I want to add that Karthik was on my side assisting me with all the applications, emails, and proposal stuff. So that was really helpful when I was trying to contact people from those people that I didn't know for the first time. So Karthik helped me a lot with that. You can also try to get your emails and applications and proposals reviewed with your peers, and that would provide a strong support for you.
Yeah, thank you, Amish. Another thing like I want to add on this one is like like your first impression is the last impression. So while asking your first question to any of your potential mentors, you should be like keep in your mind that not to ask any vague question, and while asking the question, show your research, show the work that you have done before having that question in your mind. Give any sort of files, code base that you have written, any sort of steps that you have done while setting the code, or any solving any of the issues in that organization while you came across that question. Uh, Show all of your work and then ask your question. Like it will give a good impression on someone who will be answering your question, and he'll see that you have put in some efforts in finding that question, and yeah, he'll be glad to answer if you have done some research on that question before. So yeah, another part of this GSoC preparation thing is how to keep contributing and make a good impression on the organization maintainers and administrators. So for this, like we can ask Kyra.
Yes. So the most important thing is you have to respect their time because most of them are in different time zones. और सिर्फ हमारे जैसे नहीं होता कि वीकेंड पे भी काम करते हैं. वीकेंड ऑफ, हॉलीडेज ऑफ, मतलब from my experience, I realized I used to ask certain questions from my mentor on Saturdays or Sundays. So he used to reply on Monday कि don't work on weekends, please. I mean, they usually do not work on weekends. Some might, if it's their part-time work, some might take up certain questions on the weekends, but don't continuously ping them. Don't expect answers quickly because they have a lot of students. So if you ping them continuously, or if you bother them, that puts a very bad impression. That's about putting impressions. And about continuing the contributions, you should begin with the good first issues, but as you progress, you should try to find certain bugs or certain enhancements that you think that the project should have, or maybe you should discuss it with your mentor and keep on contributing. That's it.
Yeah, and most important part of this thing is like there are some organization in which like in one project there might be two or three people contributing, but ultimately there will be only one student that will be selected for that project. So what really matters is that you keep showing your presence in the organization. You just feel that I'll be there if whatever I'm whatever if I am not be selected for GSOC, I'll keep contributing in that organization. And uh, this type of attitude from your side really attracts the maintainers as well as organizers, because the main agenda of GSOC and Outreachy is not to provide you stipend or provide you some sort of internship. It just the main idea of GSoC and Outreach is to expand the power of open source, uh, give the open source organization a platform to enhance their to increase their reach and to find more active contributors in that organization. So uh, like showing this type of feeling can also increase your chance of getting selected for GSoC. So yeah. Uh, Anyone would like to add something?
I think another factor that helps you get selected is how you build a proposal. We
Yeah.
haven't covered that, right?
Yeah. We'll be covering after this one.
Yeah. So, do you want me to get into it
Yeah.
now?
Sure. So
Okay. So, the other feedback that I received from my mentors, both the time that I did GSOC, was my proposal was complete and well formed, and look, I'm not boasting that I made a good proposal or anything, but what I want, the message that I want to get across is you build a proposal now, or maybe for a project later on in your job, or in any case, when you're communicating technical knowledge or technical information with others through email, anything else, you need to know how to present that information. And there is a way that you're supposed to write things, a specific, you need to maintain a standard of the language that you use. Many times when you get in touch with the mentors in GSoC, a lot of them are from the United States or other countries, and they might also be from countries who do not have English as their primary language. So you should make sure that you do not make, so many grammatical mistakes and stuff, because people can take it in a wrong way. The tone might seem off to them. This applies to even when you are communicating through email or direct messages on Slack or Discord. You have to keep a neutral tone always and try to write in proper correct English. If you do not have that command over the language, it's not an issue. You tend to pick these things up. I have met with people who do not have that much of command. That's not a bad thing. It's not wrong. But what I'm saying is, it is at times a necessity when you communicate with people uh, who you do not know, right? So let's talk specifically about how to write your proposal. I'll share my screen, show you my proposal for TensorFlow, and I think that should sum things up about the proposal properly. So can you guys see the screen, my proposal?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So a proposal basically is from start to end what your project is about, why it is necessary, means what is the significance of that project, and how you are going to approach the problem. And in case you hit snag, बीच में काम नहीं हो रहा है, so how you will approach specific challenges and stuff like that. It is going to be a complete plan of those 3 months, possibly monthly or weekly plans. So you need to mention at what time you can meet the mentors and what time zone you live in, because they might live in the UK, United States, Norway, or I don't know, Africa, whatnot. So because open source is a hodgepodge of people from all over the world. So you need to mention that you live in IST or anything else, and what time you are available. So I am available, let's say, from 9 a.m. to 1 a.m. in Indian Standard Time. And even at times your exams, like end-term exams and all, come between your timeline. So you need to mention that, like, let's say before 10th May, this is the time I'm available for, and after 10th May, this is the time I'm available for. And then you give an abstract about your project, what basically it is, why you need it. So like I have mentioned, that there is no way people can plot graphs natively in Swift, and it is not cross-platform, the current solutions that were available at the time. So that is the gap that I wanted to bridge. So you break up your project ideas into subparts and provide your implementation details. If you are building some kind of API, so how are you going to break it up into different parts or stuff like that? And if your project requires any other dependencies and stuff, you can mention that also, depending on how detailed you want your proposal to be, and how at times the organization can give you a template of the proposal that you need to strictly follow. Like 3-4 सवाल पूछेंगे, ये सब चीजें तुम्हें आंसर करनी है. Like why you are interested in GSoC, or why you are a fit for that organization and stuff like that. But TensorFlow didn't have a specific template, so this is what I went with. And it is a great idea to divide all your project goals into primary and secondary goals. Primary goals मतलब वो जो उन 3 महीने जो GSoC का कोडिंग पीरियड होता है उसमें जो तुम अचीव करना चाहते हो. एंड इफ टाइम परमिट्स, कभी तुम्हारा काम जल्दी खत्म हो गया, ज़्यादा टाइम बच रहा है, देन you have some secondary goals. And जितना हो सके ना उसको pictorially, if you can show stuff like flow charts or diagrams, UML diagrams or stuff like that, if that you can do, that is a very good idea. That visually giving the information is always better than showing it in text. And then divide it into these milestones like I did. Like 3 महीने का काम है तो 3 milestone सेट कर लिए, उसमें क्या क्या करेंगे वो ब्रीफ में लिख दिया. एंड लास्ट माइलस्टोन कि अगर तीनों माइलस्टोन पहले ही लाइक 2 महीने में मैंने 3 महीने का काम कर दिया होगा, तो दिस इज व्हाट आई डू. And then you give like weekly or 5 days, 6 days, or maybe 10 days, however granular you want your information to be. उसमें डिटेल में तुम जा
Karthik,
सकते
can you
हो
zoom in
कि
your
इस हफ्ते
screen?
में मैं ये काम करूँगा. Yeah, is someone saying something?
Can you zoom in?
Sure. Is this visible better?
Yeah.
Yeah. तो इस तरह से तुम दिखा सकते हो सारा इन्फॉर्मेशन. लाइक फर्स्ट इवैल्यूएशन को प्रॉपर्ली मार्क करो. ये सारा जो टाइमलाइन का डेटा है दैट यू विल बी एबल टू फाइंड ऑन द GSoC वेबसाइट. So and then in the end, if you want, you can write a little bit about you, what your interests are, and how you developed interest in programming and stuff if you want. And do not write a biography. Their main aim is to get to know how you are going to tackle the challenges of the project. If you describe a little bit कि यार तुम इस इंस्टीट्यूट से हो, तुम्हारी एरिया ऑफ इंटरेस्ट है, and this is what you're proficient at, that should be sufficient. And if you highlight your skills, whatever you know, and what kind of operating system or environment you are comfortable with, that is okay. And why you are a fit for the project, as I said before, you can write that. And it really helps to be very honest and transparent with the organization. Like if I have my interim exams or maybe I have some other internship commitment, you are the best judge, but it is helpful to be transparent in internship. But in my third year I had, so I informed the organization members कि देखो मेरा internship है, in this time I'll not be able to devote as much time, but then later on I'm pretty sure that सारी चीजें मैं cover up कर लूँगा. And they were very accepting of the fact. Okay, fine. If you are able to get the job done, that's all they want from you. Make sense?
Yeah. And guys, we'll be sharing all this proposal and the stuff that we are discussing in this webinar after in the form of post and email. So don't worry, you'll get all this. Yeah, Kyra, can you extend on this?
Yes.
How to do it?
As Karthik has shown this proposal, in GSoC you have to know what all you should include in your proposal, while in Outreachy it's a bit simpler. They give you a form, not a form, basically that's a template for the questions that they want you to answer. There are about 9 to 10 questions, ranging from what you contributed in the contribution period, or what is your earlier experience with open source. And again, the questions are more or less same. You have to explain your timeline, the timeline which you tend to follow during the internship. Then you have to explain what you have understood of the project from the contribution period. And then you have to give the links to the contributions. You have to explain your earlier involvement with open source as well as your current involvement with the organization. And then there can be some org specific questions which you have to ask from your mentors. So it's basically the same, but instead of it being a 20 or 30 pages long proposal, you get the questions compressed into a template which is provided by Outreach. That's
Yeah, thank you, Kyra. After it, like Karthik, can you like Mayank has been asking a question for a very long time. He want to know like how we can actually explore through the GSoC website and search through the list of proposal projects that they have, search through the organization list, and how we can do that. Can you do that for him?
Oh, okay, sure. Just give me a minute. Let's
Sure.
open the GSoC website.
Uh, in between, you guys can cover other questions as well, like if you have anything to add on.
Yeah. Hey guys, can you see the tab?
Yeah.
I mean,
Before
GSoC.
this one, I just want to add something. So guys,
Yeah,
as
go ahead, Ayush.
yeah. So as Karthik and Kyra told you, like uh, I'm saying this thing as I was a GSOC mentor. So your proposal really matters, but more than your proposal, your contribution and your involvement with the community matters a lot. So if you haven't contributed and like interacted with the open source community before submitting your proposal, then your chances like let's say your proposal is very good, like it is very good than compared to other candidates for that project, but you haven't contributed in the community, then we'll strictly say no to you, because uh, we really want that you should be a part of community, and not you are not participating not for GSOC, but in order but to grow with the community. So uh, just keep in your mind, don't forget to contribute and don't forget to interact with the community before submitting a proposal. So yeah, Karthik, you can
One
continue.
thing I would like to
Yeah,
add,
sure.
Outreachy does not let you submit a proposal if you have not made any contribution. It requires minimum one contribution for you to submit a proposal.
Great. Karthik, you can continue.
Okay. So the actual GSoC website, when GSoC is underway or when the application is open, is pretty different from what you see right now. Whenever GSoC concludes, they turn the website link into just the archive of all the past years. So only that's what is available right now. But you will be able to see what all organizations came. So fine. You'll have information, basic information about GSoC, what it is and stuff like that. What you will be concerned with is the archive of the organizations that came before. Let's take a look at 2020 archive. And ये वाला जो तुम्हें layout दिख रहा है, this is what you will find when the organization list is it's released. So all this stuff is available. Let's say you want to work in AWS, that is what you find. Once you get into that organization's page, give me some time because I'm having some bandwidth issues. Sorry about that.
Uh,
Take this up because I'm having network issues.
yeah, no worries, Karthik. Like in between, like we can cover this thing after our next section. So yeah, if you can switch it to the next section that we have, in which we'll talk about our experiences during the GSOC. So we can start with Kyra. Like, how is your experience during outreach?
Okay. So I worked on the media subsystem of Linux kernel. During the internship, I came to know about the cycles that kernel has. They have certain time period after which they release a new kernel, and then you can't always contribute. I mean, you can send the patches, but your patches won't always be accepted into the tree. There is certain fixed time period during which the maintainers of your tree or your subsystem accept your patches. After that, those maintainers send those patches to some above maintainers, and then it's finally sent to Linus Torvalds, the Linus Torvalds. So it's a hierarchical manner, and so my experience was great. I won't say I learned kernel programming. I learned about the media subsystem because don't expect that if you work in, let's say, with Fedora or with Linux, you would learn about operating systems, or you would work purely on operating systems. Rather, you would learn on the organization specifically. So I worked on two things. One was on the kernel side. Second, I worked with an API, an open source camera stack called libcamera. So libcamera is written in C++ and kernel is written in C. So I had to work on a driver, and one of the problems was that my mentor was from libcamera, but around 70% of my work was in the kernel. So that was a hard thing to coordinate between both the parties because none of them know entirely about the others. Or then I would say, all in all, it was good. But yes, asking the questions on mailing list, on public mailing list, can be very intimidating because everyone reads the mailing list. So during my internship, I learned to ask questions politely. Like instead of like if someone gives uh, some opinion or they ask for some change on my patch, I learned to ask politely that no, I don't want to do that. I want to do some other thing. So instead of dismissing them completely, I learned how to ask and how to answer the questions. That's it.
Thanks, Kara. Maybe you can move on to Hemel.
So my experience was quite good in NRNB. Means I started with the GitHub issues. Means NRB provides a list of GitHub issues in which you have to select a project and start. So I started on a project and I first wrote to the mentors on GitHub only. So after that, they asked me to contact on their mails. So after we contact on the mails, this means when the organizations were announced, they asked me to start with the proposal. So in NRB, I want to emphasize that the main things that matter means more than contributions, the proposal matters more in NRNB specifically. So in NRNB means the mentors also helped me quite a well during the proposal building. They reviewed my proposals about 5 to 6 times and asked me to add new things. So that was the good experience. Means I came to know about how to write the proposals in a good way. Other than this means my experience, I worked on a simulator. So that simulates the biological models. So means it was a quite different domain than my general. Means I worked till now only in mobile development, so I didn't know much about. But I started because of the Java, because I like to work in Java. So when I started, when I started in that, I first the mentors provided me the docs of the uh, project. So I started working, seeing that, and after this that I cloned the repositories and started going through the code base. And later, as time went, I became familiar with the things. Also, I think that people just ignore the biology orgs because they think that there is some knowledge about biology needed, but in reality it's not like that. Only the computer language knowledge is enough. So these was the another things, my communication improved a lot after that. And this was the main experience which I got from GSoC.
Thank you, Hemel. Amish, can you share your experience?
Yeah, so we built a whole set of tools to make working with TensorFlow and Flutter applications easy. And we had the TF-Lite Flutter plugin published in the pre-GSoC itself. And I would say that the whole overall experience was very satisfying. First of all, because by the end we were able to receive very good feedback from the community, and they found these whole set of tools very useful. We published one plugin, one package, three example apps, and two blogs. That was it. And like I used to plan everything using class diagrams with the mentors before coding, and after that, I used to update them bi-weekly regarding the progress. So that was mostly the pattern, and after the completion, like we all were satisfied with the end result, so that made me really happy.
Great. Pratik?
Uh, yeah, so I did my GSoC in self-organization, and my project was to add a support for AWS services in the bucket notification. So there are some services in AWS like SNS and Lambda. I needed to add support for those services into Ceph bucket notification code base. So during the pre-GSoC period, I solved some good first issues. Like there were of them, and I submitted the PRs and got them merged before the coding period started. And then in the coding period, I had weekly meetings with my mentor, and during the meetings, uh, I would fix the deadline for the next meeting, which would happen again after 1 week. So, like this, we would fix the work that I would do in 1 week. So, so using these deadlines, I finished my work. Uh, I learned about CMake files and C++. These were quite new to me. So overall, I had a really good experience, and it feels really nice to have contributed uh, a new feature to such a big org. So that was my experience.
Yeah. Thank you, Pratik. So, guys, in my case, I started a bit late. Like the GSoC organization list, announced around the first or second week of March. So I started contributing in my organization in February starting. So I was a bit late. So the primary interest of mine was in Android development or some organization related to Java. So when I was going through the list of projects in the organization community, uh, uh, I was able to find that there are so many students contributing in that organization in the project that I'm interested in. So I don't have that many choices to select projects or to select organization, because I was too skeptical that if I would contribute in my favorite organization or the favorite project that I am in, there are already two or three students contributing in the same project. So my chances of getting selected in DSOC will be too low, or I'll be gambling or taking a risk. So I decided not to go with that organization, or like search for some alternate organization which I can contribute in. So then I found Checker framework, and it's completely written in Java, but its code base is completely different from what Android and uh, or the software that I was familiar about. So it took around one third of my GSoC period to sort of understand how the checker framework works, and how exactly I'm going to code and structure my project. But in the end, like overall, the learning curve was quite high. But in the end, I was able to learn a lot of new things. I was able to learn how to write a clean code. I haven't worked on such a big project before, and my mentors were professors from one of the top institutes in US, so I got a very good connections as well. They even offered me internship under them, but I was not interested in under the research domain, so yeah, uh, I dropped that offer. Apart from that, like my mentor even used to like comment on my pull request if I haven't add any space or add any line between two code lines or add any documentation. So it improved uh, my way of writing code and how to write a clean code I really learned during my GSoC time. So overall, it was a great learning experience and a very good opportunity for me when I was in GSoC. Yeah, that's all from my end. It seems that Karthik has lost his internet connection, so he'll not be there with us. Uh, yeah, finally, after our experiences, we all have the question like how to keep yourself motivated, because this contribution period and the GSoC period itself might take your 6 to 7 months. So how to keep yourself motivated during this periods? We can go with Kyra on this.
Yes. So I'll tell you how I contributed to Outreachy and GSoC, and um, so I decided to start contributing in December itself because winter vacation there. So I thought best time है. But then I live in Aligarh और CA protest हो गए और पूरे December I did not have internet connection in Aligarh. So GSoC या outreachy contributions को छोड़ो, I couldn't even study anything. I did not do anything on the academic base. So uh, I decided to start in December because one मुझे लगता है कि मतलब मुझे ऐसे कुछ आता नहीं था. I did not think कि इतनी सारी टेक्नोलॉजीज मेंशन्ड होती हैं और बहुत इंटिमिडेटिंग लग रहा था और एंड मुझे लग नहीं रहा था कुछ भी चांस है ना आउटरीच में ना GSoC में. सो आई डिसाइडेड कि दिसंबर से ऑफ देखते हैं and then I would study about I'll see what technologies they use and then I would study them in December and January or February beginning से contribution थोड़ा start कर पाऊँ. This was my plan, but then December तो गया. Then in January beginning I started contributing to Mozilla because वो outreachy और GSoC दोनों में आता है. मतलब पिछले साल तक उससे पहले तक आया था. But the project in which I was contributing, I think January end या फिर February beginning में I came to know कि वो project ना GSoC में आ रहा ना outreach में आ रहा और तब तक ऐसे 7-8 PRs merge हो गए थे and I was very sure कि इसमें हो जाएगा, but then वो project नहीं आ रहा था. Feb beginning का time is अपने campus में trips का time. उस time पे trips जाते हैं and so I decided कि किसी भी trip पर नहीं जाऊँगी and I'll find another org. एक weekend पे बैठ के I made a list. सिर्फ February का first weekend था. I made a list कि क्या क्या आता है, क्या क्या कर सकते हैं GSoC के orgs में से. और outreach में problem ही रहती है कि outreach में से GSoC में if you contact the mentors before the list comes out, they tell you कि हाँ ये project आ सकता है नहीं आ सकता है. आउटरीच में प्रोजेक्ट मेंटर्स को अलाउड नहीं होता बताना कि कौन सा प्रोजेक्ट आ रहा है और और किसी भी प्रीवियस प्रोजेक्ट्स का की डिटेल्स मतलब आप ये देख सकते हो कि कौन सी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन थी बट यू कैन नॉट सी दोज प्रोजेक्ट्स डिटेल्स फ्रॉम द आउटरीच पेज. सो इसलिए आउटरीच साइड में रख के आई स्टार्टेड फोकसिंग ऑन GSoC orgs in February beginning. I decided to go with Linux kernel because C++ अच्छी लगती है, C अच्छी लगती है और I wanted to study OS. मतलब though I did not know anything about it till then, but I wanted to study OS because it seems interesting. अभी भी ऐसे I have much interest in operating systems. So build करने में बहुत time लगा. ऐसे it took me शायद one whole night सारा कोड बेस डाउनलोड करने में, उसके बाद बिल्ड कंपाइल करने में, सब कुछ करने में, सेटअप करने में टाइम लगता है, हमेशा लगता है. तो काफ़ी टाइम लगा था सेटअप करने में. दो आई डिसाइडेड कि ट्रिप पर नहीं जाऊँगी बट देन आई वेंट. उसके बाद आई चोज 3 orgs फ्रॉम GSoC. I chose 6 orgs from GSoC, of which 2 orgs come in both GSoC and outreach. Because I wanted to increase my chances, so I chose such orgs दोनों में आते हैं. When I contributed, Feb mid या फिर Feb end से अच्छे से contribution start हुआ होगा and by the end बहुत बार ऐसा था कि especially in GSoC कि इतने सारे लोग होते थे then I felt कि selection नहीं होगा क्योंकि GSoC में बहुत students होते हैं mainly because outreach के बारे में A बहुत कम लोगों को पता होता है, B लोगों को misconception रहता है कि सिर्फ लड़कियों के लिए और कंप्यूटर साइंस में लड़के तो हैं ही बहुत. तो फिर आउटरीच में GSoC में बहुत स्टूडेंट्स होते हैं I too felt intimidated many times. बहुत बार projects नहीं हुए, बहुत बार जो mentor ने task किया था वो नहीं हुआ. But एक एक दिन का रेस्ट ले लो, उसके बाद अगेन पुट इन ऑल नाइटर और कर दो उसको खत्म. तो द फीलिंग दैट यू गेट, दैट इवन आफ्टर यू थॉट कि नहीं हो पाएगा, बट after that you accomplished something, that feeling is, I mean, out of this world. You feel that you finally feel that you are capable of something. So this is how I went ahead with my organizations. धीरे धीरे करके I started filtering out किस में नहीं करना है, किस में इंटरेस्ट करना है, किस में कॉम्पिटिशन ज़्यादा है. एंड बाय द एंड आई हैड 2 ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. वन मॉजिला जो कि GSoC और आउटरीच दोनों में था उसका प्रोजेक्ट, एंड सेकंड लिनक्स. I went ahead with Linux because I found the project better. Actually Mozilla का project was about deep learning, or I already had a bit of experience in deep learning and I wanted to try something new because operating systems में कुछ experience नहीं था. This was the sole reason that I went ahead with Linux kernel. Also my mentor was very considerate. When I realized one thing, अगर हमारे कॉलेज के प्रोफेसर जैसे होते तो कितना अच्छा होता.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever I tell him कि आज काम नहीं हो सकता है या कुछ भी, he was always considerate. He never asked me. He never put pressure on me. He was really good. So I learned a lot of things from him. Most important being कि work-life balance, obviously. He had his time fixed. He had it fixed कि रात में काम नहीं करेंगे, weekends पे काम नहीं करेंगे, कब क्या करना है. He was very clear-headed. So I learned these things from him, and these were the major reasons why I went ahead with Linux kernel instead of Mozilla wala project. That's it.
Thanks, Kyra. Any one of you can elaborate on this? Sure, no worries. Another point that I want to like add on this one, like you have to overcome your imposter syndrome. What is imposter syndrome? Your like some of us have a feeling inside that I'm not capable to do this task. I'm not capable to sort of set up this code base. This is a very huge one. I'll not able to uh, like fix this issue. I'll not able to work on this repository, on this code base. So you have to overcome this sort of feeling, and like whenever you get stuck, ask your mentors, ask your friends who work in that field or like in that technology. And every time like if you will ask for help, you'll get 2 or 3 people helping you every time. So you don't have like you have to overcome this sort of imposter syndrome, and yeah, in the end you'll definitely succeed. So yeah, uh, like in the end, just keep yourself motivated and try to contribute as much as possible. Even if you are not selected for GSoC or outreach, you will definitely able to learn a lot of things. So I guess Karthik is here with us. Karthik, can you share your experience if you are here?
Yeah. Um, so have you like discussed the stuff on how to stay motivated and stuff, or
We
do you
have
want me to
already
now?
discussed this one. So
Okay, fine. So I'll just clump both of those parts into my experience.
sure.
Um, Last time, as I said before, I worked with a TensorFlow, but prior to applying to TensorFlow, I wanted to get into an organization that works on computer graphics and 3D rendering and that sort of stuff. That is my primary area of interest. I started working with an organization called Applefield long back, maybe 6 or 7 months before GSoC actually started. Uh, Not just because I wanted to get a head start for GSoC or anything, just so that I can further my knowledge in that area and थोड़ा मजा भी आए like apart from GSoC open source contribute करने का. And I kind of developed a rapport with their team and I started working on a few issues and got one or two PR calls also. But then I hit some kind of technical snag over there because I was a beginner. I did not know a lot about the field into which I was getting. So I wasn't able to solve some issues. I got demotivated, and I stopped communicating with them altogether. And kind of I thought like, what can I do now? Let's not try for GSoC and stuff. And then when the GSoC, uh, you know, period started coming closer, I thought, okay, fine, let's give it another try, just for the sake of GSoC. And I had a lot of experience with Android development and stuff, so I picked an organization called Open Food Facts, and they were working on an Android app that had all these, nutritional facts about food and stuff like that. So I started contributing there and got 5 or 6 PRs merged, and I was quite getting there in that organization. But I had been working on Android for a long time, and I had hit that saturation point कि भाई अब Android development और नहीं करना, I want to work on something that really excites me and interests me. तो अब उस एरिया में तो नहीं हो रहा है, Android में करना नहीं है, तो कोई ऑप्शन और बच नहीं रहा है, and I got quite demotivated. I was on the verge of giving up on GSoC. Let's not do it. Internship कर लेंगे, क्या होता है, कोई बात नहीं. ऐसे that kind of attitude came up. But then when the organization list actually came, that Open Food Facts organization did not get selected that year. They applied, but it did not get selected. And I kind of felt relieved कि भाई चलो अच्छा है, I did not work more, otherwise all that effort would have gone to a waste. And then one of my seniors, he pinged me saying, look, you had worked on this data visualization or graph plotting library before on Android. There is a similar project in TensorFlow. I hadn't even batted an eye towards TensorFlow because I thought MLDL का काम होगा, उसमें मेरे को इंटरेस्ट है नहीं, लेना देना है नहीं, तो क्यों देखें? But that project seemed quite interesting to me because I had worked and apparently I was the right fit for the project. So it's just the point that I want to get across to you guys is, even if an organization is not of the primary interest to you, from the superficially when you see, like जैसे इन लोगों ने दूसरे लोगों ने भी बताया कि बायो वाली ऑर्ग लग रही है या फिर OS वाली ऑर्गेनाइजेशन लग रही है, but there are different kinds of projects there too. So go check them out. Maybe you'll find something that interests you or that is under your technical competence. So that's how I came across TensorFlow, and the rest of the stuff I've told you. I started talking with them and building prototypes and stuff. So that was how my experience of getting into GSoC with TensorFlow was. During the project also, I got to learn a lot of stuff from the mentors, and how to build an API, or not the web API stuff that web developers do, a different kind of native application API, a library right from the bottom up. I was using a completely new language for me, that was Swift. I had never done iOS development or anything, and recently Swift support had come for Linux, Ubuntu specifically. So I learned a new language and architectured a whole library from the bottom up. So that was a great experience. And so big, and that gave me the satisfaction that there was a real gap, a real problem in the world that solved, and it got a lot of traction within a few weeks. A lot of people gave their reviews on how they thought the library was good or bad, what kind of improvements were necessary, what kind of stuff they would like to be included. A lot of input came up, and within a short time, it became one of the primary data visualization tools for Swift, because the tools that worked there earlier वो सिर्फ एप्पल के प्लेटफॉर्म जैसे iOS, macOS वगैरह हैं उन पे चलते थे. My project, the thing that I built, it was cross-platform. हर जगह चलते थे. And at the end of my GSoC, I had to present this work of mine in front of the whole community. And there came a point in the meeting, the inventor of Swift was also present, Chris Lackner. I don't know if you know about him. He built LLVM, the compiler infrastructure LLVM, and invented Swift. So that guy was present, and at a point he came to asking that what everybody thought of including this library into a default package for machine learning. So when you hear that kind of stuff from such accomplished people, that gives you the boost that तुमने जो काम किया है उसका actual कोई value है. That is what is going to give you that satisfaction. And such stuff will definitely happen with all the kinds of GSoC projects out there because they are relevant projects. And that was about it for TensorFlow. This year I worked with ASWF, that is Academy Software Foundation. Academy Software Foundation is this new organization जिसको जो ये है ना ऑस्कर जो देती है what do you call that, Academy of Motion Pictures and Sciences. So that and the Linux Foundation, they together came and made this organization to support all these open source projects that support film and media and industry. A lot of the world around you cannot imagine it is supported at the grassroots by such open source projects. So uh, when I saw AWS come up in the list, I mean, I was heads over heels in love with this year. Oh my god, this is my year. मुझे अब करना है GSoC क्योंकि the area I'm interested in, that kind of an organization came. I explored the projects under this AWS banner and found this project called Open Timeline IO or OTIO in short. So this was again another library, but this time it was within C++ and Python. And ये library basically क्या करती है जो लोग video editing, and again the experience this time around during GSoC was great. The work was good and a lot of guidance I got from the mentors, and as I said before, that technical Oscar guy also came in to help out. People from Netflix came in, people from Pixar were already there, so that was a lot of fun. And how can you stay motivated during all these application periods? Just don't lose hope and realize that although GSoC is an open source program, it might not be a traditional internship. There are a lot of key, what do I say, how do I put it directly? There are a lot of opportunities that it might open up, and it is going to give you a lot of exposure. It is nothing less than a proper internship, and at times you get to learn a lot more about stuff, like proper किस तरह से लोगों के साथ communicate करना है. If you go for an internship at a startup, let's say, the experience will be good. It will be a fast-paced environment. You will get to learn a lot of stuff. That is true. बहुत ही अच्छा experience होगा. But when you get into GSoC and you interact with people from different time zones and stuff, you will know how to work with that kind of a diverse team. Your primary language, the people who are here, it's not probably English. You will learn how you can communicate effectively in a language that is not your primary language, and that is going to help you out in the future too. So there are a lot of things, and perks तो हैं ही यार, सीखना विखना, that is going to be your primary thing, but you get a good stipend for working on this also, and the so-called prestige of GSoC. So, and अगर तुम्हें कभी बीच में डिप्रेस हो गए या डिमोटिवेट हो गए, go talk to your friends, go talk to your seniors, and I'm pretty sure they're going to get you back on track. Discuss what are the pros and cons with people, and that will help you realize कि यार कितना important है ये. And ऐसा नहीं है कि if you don't get into GSoC, the world is going to end for you or something like that. Please don't take it in the wrong way. I'm just trying to emphasize that do not get demotivated and just keep working towards your goal. That's all.
Thank you, Karthik. Maybe you can continue our last screen sharing that you were doing about the GSoC organization page, because
I'm not able to share my slides because there's some problem with the system.
okay then.
I'm on my phone right now.
Yeah, no worries. Then Mayank, we will personally mentor you on this one. So if you have any question, then feel free to ping me. I'll.
Do you remember what the next slide was, Ayush?
Yeah, it was about the blog. So uh,
Okay, fine.
before that one, any one of our panelists like want to add on like how to get yourself motivated and any other final tips for GSoC and outreach? Uh, okay, guys. So uh, I think that's like, guys, we have put all this thing like the things that we have discussed. Is sort of we have accumulated all these things into a blog that we have written last year from the MDG. We'll be sharing that blog link with the email, with the follow-up email that we have with you guys soon. So stay with us. Otherwise, if you have any questions, then uh, we have the Q&A round. We can answer your question. Just put in the chat. We'll answer all your questions that you have. Uh,
Even if anyone in the meeting wants to unmute and ask, I think we are open to that.
yeah, we are also open to that one. So now this part is for open discussion. Anyone of you can mute.
And people
unmute
watching the
yourself.
live stream, you can put your questions in the chat box.
Yeah.
We'll answer that surely.
By the way, this was our first experience conducting a webinar along with the live stream. So bear with us with if we have any sort of issues in between. So yeah.
Yeah, I know many people were pretty bummed out that they couldn't join the meeting live. But there was a live, we are also live streaming, so I think it should be alright. Sorry for that, guys.
Do we have any questions in the chat?
Ayush, did you cover the GSoC website exploration part?
Not me. Like I was not able to share that one. Amish, Emil, Kyra, like can one of you share your screen and explore the GSoC website and organization part, if that is possible, or otherwise we can drop that part. Okay, guys, I think let's drop this for now. If any one of you have any sort of doubt, feel free to contact us. We'll be sharing our details in the follow-up email, and yeah, I'll be ending the live stream now. The guy, like the people that are present in the call, just stay with us. We just want to thank you guys, and yeah, I have. So we have one question. Uh, Karthik, can you answer that one?
I only know C++. Sumit Puri asked.
Yeah.
Are you sure? I think we are answering questions so the live stream can continue.
Yeah, sure. I haven't ended that one.
Yeah, so Sumit Puri asked, I know only C++. Which technology should I use before GSoC? Okay, you know C++. That in itself is very good. C++ is considered by most people as one of the most difficult languages to get started with. So I think kudos on that. You have gained a useful skill, and a lot of work goes on in C++. There you will be able to find many organizations working on this specific language. So I think even if you do not know anything else, you are all set to get started. In case, like in my case, if I had to use C++ and a little bit of Python, I didn't know Python before. Okay, it might seem very weird, please don't judge me, but I had never used Python before. And it is one of the easiest languages to learn. So, in fact, if you know one language before, you will be able to learn any other language within a matter of days, and so that's why.
Begin with, there are many projects in Django as well as in Flask. So you could begin with any of them. Uh, just try to build some projects and gain some experience in that. And um, I think that's it for backend development. And uh, then there are some other use cases of Python, like in game development. So in game development also there are Python frameworks, but I don't really know much about game development and other frameworks. Would anyone else like to discuss about that?
Look, Nikhil, you said you're a competitive programmer. I don't know much about Python, but I'll go on this competitive programming thing. There are a number of organizations that work on pretty mathematical or algorithm-based projects. There is this organization called CGAL, that works on computational geometry. So they work on computational geometry algorithms, and a lot of people who get selected are good competitive programmers. They use C++, but I think you know Python, you know one language, so you should be able to get started with that stuff soon. It won't take a lot of time. And yeah, and I don't know about Python being used in game development. I don't have idea. I'm sure they do. So I'm not the right person to answer that. You have experiences in AI and ML. That's great too. Go for TensorFlow. You have then Red Hen Labs and the one more. I don't remember the name of.
OpenCV is there. OpenCV.
Yeah, OpenCV. That's a good option too.
And
Yes,
for
yes.
game development, I guess Godot is there. That
Yeah,
is
Godot.
related to game development. For algorithms, this year I saw an organization called Sage Math. It is related to algorithms. You can check that out.
Yeah. There's one question that came up and we haven't answered that. Ghanshyam Rajput asked GSoC guide for blockchain enthusiasts.
So I can answer that one. I think Ghanshyam is asking about Hyperledger and blockchain. So according to me, there aren't any much organization related to blockchain that are participating in GSoC. But specifically to Hyperledger, they conduct their own summer of code in which they provide you stipends similar to GSoC. Like you can apply for that as well, like if you are interested in that. But organization and project specifically related to blockchain and Hyperledger are very less.
There's an org which is called Accord. It just came last year and it had some projects related to blockchain. So you could look for that.
Yeah.
I hope we've answered your question, Nitin.
Can
Okay,
you
Mohit
suggest
Rakade
a
asked, can you suggest paths to learn Hyperledger?
uh, I might not be the best guy to suggest this one, but I think you can start learning about Hyperledger Composer. It's basically their sort of GUI plus basic command line toolkit in which you can create some basic blockchain application, and after that, I don't know, like they have some sort of readme and guideline. You can go through it. I haven't gone through it much, but if you can connect me after this meeting, I can connect with you some guy who works on this one, so he'll be the best one to guide on you in this one.
Okay, Ghanshyam Rajput says he wants the names to be repeated of the organizations that Pratik.
I have written in the chat. It's Accord. I have written just about that question.
Okay, I can see that. Great.
So guys, I think we are over the time right now, so I'll be stopping the live stream, but we can continue this meeting. Please stay with us. We want to thank you guys. I'll be stopping the live stream now. So just be